I would also like to recognize RIDOT's incredible and dedicated highway safety leaders, Steve Prestawa, Sean Raymond, Victor Lepore, Dana Boyd-Claire, and Gaby Abardi, our Chief of the Office of Highway Safety. Let's get right to the facts. Fact number one, RIDOT had no fatalities in our work zone last year. For this, we are grateful and relieved. Fact number two, in Rhode Island, there were 900 work zone crashes last year. The reason we reach out to the public for these events is because 85% of those killed in work zones are either the drivers or the passengers of the vehicles that, for whatever reason, crash into our work zones. Nationwide, a work zone crash occurs every 5.4 minutes. In each week, there are 12 work zone crashes that involve at least one fatality. We have been proactive and lucky here in Rhode Island, and we have kept our work zone fatalities numbers low. We want to keep them as low as we can. Rhode Island is alive with construction. This is because we are on a mission to get our roads and bridges in a state of good repair by the year 2025. RIDOT is hustling, but that doesn't mean we ever sacrifice safety for speed. Safety is our #1 priority. Not just our workers' safety, but also the motoring public. This year we'll have 50 active construction projects. No one will be able to avoid a work zone. Our goal is to be able to say that even though no one could avoid a work zone, no one got injured or died in one. Each work zone is populated by people who are our moms, our dads, our brothers, our sisters, our sons, our daughters. They want to get home to their families just like you do. You can make sure that that happens. We don't attack this problem on our own. We have wonderful partners, and they are here today. From enforcement to AAA to the construction workers who are on the front lines every day, we have a team, and they are here today. Our first speaker is Captain John Allen from the Rhode Island State Police.
Thank you, and thank you for having us. The Rhode Island State Police remains committed to protecting motorists and workers on the state's roadways. Every day we see the results of inattentive and distracted drivers. As the construction season begins, we ask motorists to please stay alert, slow down, and drive hands-free. Troopers will continue to aggressively enforce all traffic and vehicle offenses to protect not only motorists, but the workers in highway work zones. Obviously, there's a concern with the COVID restrictions easing, warm weather coming, we're going to see more traffic on the roadways. On any given day, we have 12 to 25 troopers assigned to DOT projects whose sole focus is safety of the workers and the motoring public. Sad to report that in the last calendar year, we've had 4 cruisers struck, troopers inside the cruisers on motor vehicle stops while on the side of the road. 3 of those were impaired drivers, 1 was a distracted driver. Since January 1st of 2020, the state police have issued 47,250 citations. 413 of those were for the move over law. We've also issued 181 citations for texting while driving. In 2019, the state police, along with Rhode Island DOT, the Attorney General's Office, and funding from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, founded our Traffic Safety Unit, which consists of 6 troopers. Since January 1st of 2020, they alone have issued 2,500 speeding violations, 4,000 other violations, have affected 389 DWI arrests, and have made 741 total arrests. It's going to be a busy summer. We encourage all motorists to slow down, move over, and put their cell phones away while traveling through a work zone. Thank you very much. Sorry, I meant to introduce Arthur Kinsman. He's from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Actually, Art couldn't join us today, but we have our next speaker, Lloyd Albert, Senior Vice President of AAA Northeast.
Thank you, Bob. So I spend most of my time at AAA in public affairs and government relations, but I always make sure I find time to hop on for a ride-along with our drivers, our roadside technicians, because I never want to forget how dangerous these jobs are. And you might be doing a jump start in a driveway in North Providence or down in Newport or the east side of West Warwick, but when you get that call for a flat tire on 95 by the Big Blue Bug or on Route 4, that's when you realize that people are blowing by you at 65, 70, maybe sometimes more than that, usually within 2 or 3 feet. So the risk that our folks put themselves under every day is amazing, and that the same is true for the construction industry as well. Because of this robust funding for Rhode Island projects this year, along with a really highly capable team at RIDOT, this may very well be one of the busiest construction seasons ever recorded in the state, and safety must be paramount. You've heard the numbers. Fatalities around work zones are up 11%. That is problematic. And as concerned as we should be with the workers themselves, 85% of the fatalities occur in the folks who are driving cars or their passengers. So we understand the inherent risks in all of this, and work zone safety is incredibly important. As for our team at AAA, a dedicated group of roadside technicians, we're well aware that on a national level, 32 tow truck drivers lose their lives every year in job-related crashes. That's according to the CDC. And the job itself is rated as 15 times more dangerous than the typical job out there. So we know it's in fact, it's the main reason for us having stood with RIDOT and other stakeholders back in 2008 to advocate for a slow down, move over law. So the messaging we're communicating here today is important and well worth the time to be talking about it. We appreciate the good work of local media in amplifying this message. It's really life-saving messages that you're hearing today. In the end, we really believe that a well-informed motorist enhances road safety for everyone. So as I wrap up, let me just give you a quick 10 tips that we put together, and I'll share those with the media as well, to make work zone safety a priority. Number one, as a motorist, stay informed. Check your transportation websites to learn of construction activity, like RIDOT's site. Allow extra time. Don't be harried. Put away your cell phone and other distractions. Reduce speed when approaching any work zone. Turn on your headlights. Keep safe distance from other cars. Scan the road ahead so you see those brake lights before you, knowing that something is coming up. Observe posted signs until you see end work zone. It's not over until you see that sign at the end of the work zone. Be patient and avoid road rage. And finally, the most important one is slow down and move over. We can distill this whole conversation today in those 4 words. When you see a road construction sign, when you see a red light, a blue light, or an amber light on the side of the road, slow down and move over if at all possible to give our workers a wider berth. Let's help them as they help us. So thank you very much for the opportunity this morning. Very important issue that I'm very happy to be able to weigh in on. Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd. Those are great tips. I'd like to introduce Raymond Coyer, Administrator of the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund.
Good morning. On behalf of the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund and the Laborers International Union of North America, I would like to say thank you to those agencies and their respective representatives that are present here today for sharing our commitment to the safety of the men and women who work daily in work zones throughout the state of Rhode Island. It is most appropriate that we are here on April 28th. Every year on April 28th, we recognize Workers' Memorial Day, a day we recall and honor those who have lost their lives because of dangerous working conditions or an accident that occurred at work. As a member of organized labor, our union works tirelessly with our allies here today as we strive to strengthen job safety in an effort to save lives. With the programs put in place, being overseen by Governor McKee and Director Alviti, construction projects are set to commence, and with that, the number of men and women working in work zones is set to increase as they continue to build, maintain, and improve our roads and bridges. It's a proven fact that there exists a correlation between the onset of warm weather and an increase in the number of the motoring public. As such, National Work Zone Awareness Week is a time most appropriate to remind the motoring public of their duty to slow down, obey signs, don't text and drive, as well as obey all other laws of the road. Work zones are the offices of the construction road workers, and we need to continue to stress the importance that drivers navigate through these areas with caution and careful attention. Safety in work zones won't happen by itself. As we continue to provide properly trained and skilled workers, we must rely on the motorists to be equally trained, educated, and skilled as they traverse through the work zones. It requires a team approach. Many of the players on the team are the agencies represented here today. It is through this team approach that we share a commitment to the safety of the construction workers and stand together in this initiative. It's a proven fact that safety works when people work together. Unfortunately, when they don't work together, accidents can happen. So let us once again commit to constantly reinforce the synergy between those who travel through the work zones and those performing the work within these projects. Let this interaction and cooperation produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects, with the men and women working in the work zones being able to work and return home safely on a daily basis. All it takes is patience and cooperation. So once again, let us stand together as partners committed to safety, as we remember that work zone safety isn't just a slogan, it needs to be a way of life. Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Sabatoni. Michael serves as the president of the Rhode Island Building and Construction Trades, as well as business manager, secretary, treasurer of the Laborers Rhode Island District Council, and business manager of Construction and General Laborers, Local Union 271. So those are many of the workers that are out there on the construction sites that I'm sure Michael will mention. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Raymond. As you heard, some of the numbers that were mentioned, it's not by accident that we've had the success that we've had, but we still can't be complacent when it comes to the health and safety of the men and women that we represent working on the work zones day in and day out. So as president of the building trades and on behalf of the 10,000 tradesmen and women that I represent, thousands of which are currently working on projects throughout the state, it's my honor and pleasure to be here to bring awareness so that we never get complacent, especially as we're traversing through work zones. As Raymond has mentioned, this is the office for construction workers. This is their this is their work setting. Just a quick perspective, just look at us standing here on the curb and you see the cars just going by at 25 miles an hour. Imagine being on the highway, as Lloyd said, and seeing them coming by at 65 and 70 miles an hour. You can get an indication of what it's like to work in those environments. And the awareness is critical for us to continue to make sure that we advise the general public on the necessity to be cautious when you're moving through work zones. Every year we put this event together, and then we don't just stop after today. We continue to do it day in and day out so that we make sure the men and women that we represent go home the same way that they showed up on the job site first thing in the morning. It's also not by accident working in conjunction with our employers. We spend a lot of time, effort, and money in a labor management cooperation to make sure that we use the best protocols possible in the construction industry to make sure that the men and women that we represent and that are employed by our contractors do just that and get home at the end of the day the same way that they showed up in the morning. You know, the only time I don't mind waiting in traffic, being a 35-year member of the Laborers Union and starting out in the construction industry, is when it's due to road construction. So I won't mind, I'll sit in traffic, because that means the men and women that we represent are working at the call, but it can be frustrating from time, and that's what we ask the general public, just to be considerate I know it's an inconvenience, and sometimes it's a temporary inconvenience of the construction projects, but just keep in mind that this is people's livelihoods, and to have respect when you're moving through those work zones. I've been around, like I had just mentioned, 35 years, and I've never seen the enormity of work we're currently doing and the enormity of work we're going to continue to do in the state of Rhode Island. Last week, it's a press conference under the viaduct. It's going to be about $1.4 billion worth the construction through RIDOT, 50 projects, 146 bridges. Some of the most marquee projects are the 610 connector that I travel through every day, the viaduct that we just had the groundbreaking on, the Henderson Bridge, the Washington Bridge, Route 37, the Pawtucket Central Falls train station, and I could continue to go on. Pretty much every thoroughfare, major thoroughfare in the state of Rhode Island, by the way, long overdue, is going to have some aspect of construction going on today and in the near future. So talk with your friends, your families, just make sure people are aware, and just let them know, again, when they're working and they're moving through these work sites, to be courteous of the men and women that build the infrastructure that all Rhode Islanders enjoy. And I appreciate your time this morning, so thank you.